This video is for Christian women, Catholic women, anybody who claims to love God and have faith. So 1 Corinthians 2:12, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. 1 Peter 3:1, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they may also without the word be won over by the conversation of the wives. It's your chaste conversation, how you conduct yourself. How are you going about? Are you being a Jezebel? Are you trying to have your cake and eat it too? Are you trying to tell your husband what to do? Or are you letting him guide you? Are you letting him guide your household? Whether your husband be in covenant or not, you are still in subjection to him. You're in subjection to other men as well, as long as they don't cause you to break the 10 Commandments. There's a certain order that God made. So, 1 Corinthians 11, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. So that is the order. I know in today's society they have it all twisted and tangled up, that the whole feminism bullcrap and everything like that. Women are more susceptible to attacks from Satan. We're the weaker vessel. And, God had very good reason to have that order like he does. Okay. And then that's also another thing. So, your husband is your head covering. You don't need to literally be wearing a head covering, like a physical one, because you have one spiritually. And, if you're unequally yoked, and you don't have a good head covering through your husband, you have Yeshua, you have God, you have the brothers who walk in the faith with you for guidance and counsel and that type of thing. And then, so as women, our goal, our job is to be teaching other women and children. So in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it. That's talking about teaching them the 10 Commandments, teaching them what the royal law is, to love their neighbor as their self, to not suffer sin upon anybody. And then 1 Corinthians 14:34, that talks about women keeping silence in the churches. Again, we have our place, we have our order. Men should be the only ones preaching to other men. We have a certain way, you can ask them if you can speak plainly, if you're in a conversation, to talk about it, but your angle, your approach that you have to be asking questions. So let's say you see something that you disagree with. Let's go with the pagan holidays. And they're posting about the Christmas tree. You can say, have you read Jeremiah 10? Don't learn as have you read Jeremiah 10, where it talks about how they hammer it with nails that it move, they fasten it with nails that it move not, and that type of thing. And have you read where it says we're not supposed to do as the heathen did? And wouldn't that tree that you're putting up be exactly that? You're not just supposed to flat out say, the holidays are full of paganism and that's idolatry. You're breaking the 10 Commandments. What are you doing? No, you can't speak like that. You can speak to a woman like that, but to a man, absolutely not. So that's another thing. As women, we were literally made to be a helpmate for men. Genesis 2:18. And Jehovah God said, it is not good that man should be alone, and I will make an helpmeet for him. Okay? So back then they had different tasks, but we have tasks too, right? It might look a little different, but it's all the same. So back then women, their primary purpose was to take care of the home, the children, the food, the cleaning, all of that. And as a woman, if you're asked a question, you can respond, but don't just flat out give your opinion, We were to kind of help for guidance and that type of thing too. But that's another thing. Like, if your husband asks you for your opinion on something and you give it, you can't be upset if he goes with a different option, like, you gave your opinion and that's it. Shut your mouth. Titus 2, 3-5. This is also another thing. So, the aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, not prideful, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemed. So the aged women, in that context, it's not necessarily talking about like 45 versus 20, it's talking about those who are wiser in the word and that type of thing. And so, let's see. Let's say there is an argument that's being brought up, right? So, again, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Keep silent. If there's an argument that's arising, it's probably your fault. 100%. It's probably your fault. You may not look at it that way, but take it. Whatever they're saying, let it be like constructive criticism in a way, and really reflect on it, like what happened throughout the day. What did I say? Did I have an attitude? Was I letting Jezebel sneak in and I didn't take those thoughts captive? Like, what was it? Really analyze it and just sit there and say, okay, Father, please help me to grow. I'm trying to understand where I went wrong. And if you need to, reach out to some sisters for counsel. Stick to what he said, what you said, how you reacted, so they can help guide you in a way, like a better way to respond the next time it happens. Or like, hey, you really screwed up here. This is probably why that happened. It'd be a good idea to go apologize and sit down with him and have a good conversation about it. Okay. And another thing, so like, I know when I was first coming into covenant, I struggled with Jezebel. I still struggle with it sometimes, but that's the important thing. You have to take those thoughts captive. Talk to your sisters about it. Pray to Father about it. And analyze like what you're doing on your day-to-day. What are you allowing to seep into your mind? And, there's the Jezebel spirit, there's the Ahab spirit. And so with Jezebel, we know that that's not of God. God's not an author of confusion. And you just read through like what he wanted you to be: chaste, keepers at home, not slanderous. You're not busybodies going up and down gossiping, X, Y, and Z. So in John 10:10, it says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they may have life and that they might have it more abundantly. So really talk to the Father, ask him to help prune you of all sin and to pour out that grace, that conviction on your heart that leads you to repentance. G5485 literally tells you it's divine influence upon the heart. And I don't know where I was going with this, but an example that you can read about is with Deborah in the Bible in Judges 4. Rather than flat out, with Baruch, or however you pronounce that, she was asking questions to help redirect, to remind him of what God wanted, rather than to usurp his authority and just to speak her mind, So, be like Deborah. And then another thing, so 1 Timothy 2, 9-10 says, in like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety. So we're supposed to be wearing modest apparel. If you claim to love God and you're dressing with your boobs hanging out and your butt hanging out, what are you doing? I used to do that. And boy, now that my eyes are opened, like, I can't even fathom how much that upset God. You know, I was a smoke in his nose. I was probably an abomination unto him doing that crap. So, put away the booty shorts, get the tight-fitted clothing away, dress modestly, loose-fitted clothing, like, for real. And shamefacedness is literally talking about not wearing makeup. Where is it? Okay, so in Enoch 8, I hope it's 8. But, so we'll just say in Enoch, so I don't speak out of turn. And Azazel taught mankind to make swords and knives and shields and coats of mail, and taught them to see what was behind them, and that their works of art, bracelets and ornaments, and the use of rogue, and the beautifying of the eyebrows, and the dearest and choicest stones, and all coloring substance, and the metals of the earth. And there was great wickedness and much fornication, and they sinned, and all their ways were corrupt. Okay, so makeup was literally brought about by, like, fallen angels. You don't want to be doing that crap. And that's another thing, women, like, with makeup, you are literally, like, coveting a different look. You're being prideful, you're being insecure, which links to pride, which leads to coveting, which leads to lusting, because you want a different look than what the Father blessed you with. You want darker eyebrows, or you want people to actually see your lashes. My eyelashes are literally blonde. So, you know, I used to wear mascara. I even had the extensions at one point. But, you know, like, none of that crap, or take it off your face. Stop caking it on. And don't even do, like, the, oh, I have a pimple on my face, I'm just gonna put a little concealer on that. We're human. We're literally human. So stop getting the Botox. They're your wisdom lines. As you get older, you get more, right? Don't dye your hair. The same concept. So no makeup, and don't become prideful. Don't, like, focus on where your heart's at with all of that. You can tell yourself a million times as much as you want to, oh, I do it for this reason, I do it for that, blah, blah, blah. No, stop. You're doing it because of your own vainglory. You're coveting a different look, you're lusting after it, and you're being prideful because you don't want others to see that you might have a pimple on your face or whatever it may be. Knock it off. Dress modestly and be a good example for your kiddos or for your nieces, nephews, etc. We're supposed to be a light to the world, set apart, peculiar people. And, you know, Botox and all that is so normal, even in your early 20s. People are doing it. Getting the lip fillers, the Botox, so you literally can't look surprised and have wrinkles on your forehead, that type of crap. Focus on where your heart's at. You know, like, we shouldn't be going after these worldly desires. We should be focusing on what the Father wants, what He wants for us. Focusing on how we can please Him. It doesn't matter what you look like. It really doesn't. And one of the, it's so true. One of the brothers was talking about it, but he's like, women literally have, like, the look at me attitude towards other people, even women, you know. It's just, it's so wild, and it's so accurate. Like, Jezebel is so deeply rooted. You need to get her out, because you can't be walking in covenant and have her constantly in you, you know. And that's a lot of reason why you have contention and arguments within the home, and the division and everything in between. So just be in submission. And again, like, we have men over us, we have Yeshua, we have God over us, because women, again, we are the weaker vessel. We know that lust is a very slippery slope. Let's pull up James real quick. And lust isn't necessarily just like the fornication lust, you know, like, lusting and coveting are the same thing. So, James 1:15, when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So you need to be repenting. And there's that verse that talks about Romans 7:7, but what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the law, for I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. So lusting and coveting go hand in hand. They're literally the same thing. They're like synonymous to one another. So be careful with that. Be careful before you speak. Like, that's another thing. Women, I think it's just first nature for us to gossip, to want to gossip. You know, you grow up doing it, even like itty bitty little in elementary school. You gotta quit that shit. God wants us to not have guile in our mouths. The 144 will not have guile in their mouths. The elect won't. They're not going to. Not supposed to be a talebearer. You know, just keep your mouth shut. Really, like that saying, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Keep your mouth shut. You know, check your heart. Like, dang, why am I feeling like that? Why do I want to say that? You know, take those thoughts captive. Talk to the Father about it. Let's see. Okay. I'm scrolling through my little document. Okay. 2 Corinthians 4:16. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. So, get rid of the worldly lust. Once again, I know I've said it a gajillion times already. But focus on your heart more than this worldly crap, because your soul is what matters at the end of the day. Other people's souls is what matters. You're supposed to be going out, finding the lost sheep that have been scattered, that the wicked pastors are, you know, scattering and lying to, and X, Y, and Z. Don't matter what you look like. God will put the words in your mouth, and he will help you and lead you and guide you. Just follow the Lamb wherever he goes. Let's see. You know, and really just talk to the Father. Pray to him. Anything that you're lacking, he will provide. Seek the kingdom first, and everything else will be added unto you. I mean, it literally is so true. We have brothers and sisters who have been homeless, and just like good testimonies of faith. Like, they've been homeless or they've been going through stuff, and we know that the Father chastises those that he loves. So be grateful when you have that chastisement. It's literally his way to correct you and prune you and help get you on the right path. Yeah, it sucks during, but be grateful for it. Like, I don't want to use working out as an analogy, but like, you know, you're training for something, and then like, I don't know, just say you train and then you get like in the end you end up finishing the race or X, Y, or Z, you know. But the Father's correcting you. He's building character within you. He's refining you. That refiner's fire, you know. And I just think it's, you know, it's really beautiful, and he's going to keep refining us until we are the way he wants us. You know, and what is it? There's a worldly saying. It's something like, anything that's easy is not worth it, or something like that. But, you know, there's some truth to that, because this walk is not easy. Lots of people mock and scoff. And again, just to circle back, women, it's important to know your place. Again, like, even with the elders, to know those over you and the Lord. They're watching out for your souls. So be obedient. Don't usurp the authority over men. Take the makeup off. Start wearing modest clothing. Get rid of the pride that you have. Stop lusting and coveting. Get rid of the pagan holidays, Christmas, Easter, Halloween. A lot of women covet that stuff. It's just like keeping up with the Joneses, because they want to have the nicest decorations or the nicest tree, or, oh, my family went to Prague for Christmas and we did all this. Like, you're literally just, you're casting stumbling blocks. You're displeasing to the Father, you know, and just quit. literally quit.